It's really not up to date, I see. Good evening, and welcome to the Westfield Cemetery. My name is Miss Marion Dickerman, and I was born here in Westfield back in 1890. I'm the middle child of Edwin and Emily Dickerman. I have 2 younger and 2 older siblings, all who rest with me in the Dickerman circle. My father, Edwin, came to Westfield around 1877 to form the law partnership of Russell and Dickerman. He took an active part in the affairs of the village and was honored to be elected to be first the president of the village, well, you'd call him mayor, and later town supervisor. We grew up in a lovely house that my parents had built on East Main Street. We attended St. Peter's Episcopal Church, where my father served as a warden and vestryman. When I was just 7 years old, my mother, Emily, suddenly passed away. It took a toll on all of us, especially Father. But I graduated from Westfield Academy School in 1907. I do think it's a shame that the stately high school buildings are no longer there, and even the giant ginkgo trees are gone. I was a good student and always dreamed of becoming a teacher. So after high school, I went to study at Wellesley College and later transferred to Syracuse University, where I earned a Bachelor of Arts degree and a year later, a graduate degree in education. Oh, it was so exciting to be in such a large city and university after spending my younger days in this small town. During my years in college, I became involved in some of the more unconventional activities for women of the day. I was proud to join the suffragette movement and attended many rallies and campaigned for women's voting rights. I spent the rest of my life dedicated to politics, education, and progressive reform. At age 23, I was hired as an American history teacher in Fulton, New York. It was at Fulton High School that I met a colleague, Nancy Cook. We became lifelong friends and partners. When World War I erupted, Nancy and I left teaching and threw ourselves into war-related activities, especially the Red Cross here in the States and later in London. When we came back to the States, I was surprised to find out that I had been nominated to oppose Thaddeus C. Sweet, an anti-suffragist politician, for a seat in the New York State Assembly. I really had no chance of winning, but I was able to take away some votes from Sweet, who was then unable to secure the Republican nomination for governor. In 1922, we moved to New York City, and I joined the faculty of Todd Hunter School. It was around that time when I met Eleanor Roosevelt. Nancy, Eleanor, and I quickly became close friends as we shared similar values and political ideas. We worked together for the Women's Trade Union League, the League of Women Voters, and the Democratic National Committee. By 1927, we became involved in a project to help local craftsmen called Val-Kill Properties, located on land in Hyde Park given by the Roosevelts. This remained a full-time passion of ours until the economies of the Great Depression slowly ended its profits. This close friendship with Eleanor would last more than 15 years. But understandably, after Franklin became president, Eleanor's responsibilities had grown and she had less time to spend with Nancy and me. It is a privilege to be mentioned in Eleanor Roosevelt's autobiography, where she said, "Miss Cook and Miss Dickerman and I have been from the first drawn together through the work which we were doing. This is, I think, one of the most satisfactory ways of making and keeping friends." In 1938, FDR appointed me to be a presidential commission to study industrial relations in both Great Britain and Sweden. After returning from abroad, I was appointed to the National Labor Relations Board, where I served for 3 years. In 1947, Nancy and I moved to New Canaan, Connecticut, where I became the educational director for the Museum of America and the Sea, now known as Mystic Seaport. I was very happy in that position for 16 years. But my life turned a vicious turn when in 1962, Nancy became very sick and passed away. Nancy had loved Westfield the several times we had visited, so she had me promise she would be buried with me in this lovely place. I decided to retire and move far away from Connecticut, so my sister Catherine graciously took me into her home in Kennett Square, Pennsylvania. I died May 16, 1983, at the age of 94 years, at the Crossroads Retirement Home in Kennett Square. My wishes were always to come back home, so here I am, laid to rest, next to Nancy, under that tree, and the rest of my Dickerman family. Thank you for listening and visiting tonight.
Great family.